the Stafford thing, and I referenced earlier, I got a tweet from a fan, and it was a picture of his son. And said, this is my son, Liam. He'll be 11 next month. He wears his jersey with pride today, going to school here in Indianapolis. The only QB he rooted for growing up until Jared Goff just won the Super Bowl. Like I said, connected. Who do you think his favorite quarterback is? And you know what? And that came from James Gurns. And you know what, James? Like, you know, your son's 11, man. Like, that's I was like that when I was a kid. I'm sure kids across the country are like that. Again, for me, and I won't be critical. I've never been critical of that. And sorry, I'll ask you: have I ever been critical of people that like Stafford or cheer for Stafford? I've never been critical. I just wanted to understand why.
Yeah, and you just throw the facts out there. Yeah. So I mean, you're not being a hater. You're just throwing out the truth and the facts.
Thank you, and that's all. That's all that I was looking for. And I would say to your son, then that's great. Go ahead. I mean, he's 11. I'm sure he doesn't understand, you know, the concept of the rookie contract, especially if you can get a quarterback with that 32nd pick, and how you got a quarterback now for $2 million a year, like Lamar Jackson, and those types of things. Like, I'm sure he doesn't grasp that. He just knows that he loves Stafford, and that's cool. And if you're like that, I'm cool with it. But you know, for me, it's just that's why
it's different than that. It's same
business.
It's the same thing when you say, listen, I don't want these athletes or entertainers raising my kids. I'll do that.
Love watching Tyreek Hill play.
When you say that, it's the same thing as like, hey, Matt Stafford, whatever, but you're not here. I'm about the Lions. I need draft capital.
Yeah.
I need to improve. I want to be there, right? I don't begrudge, because we all have the 11-year-old in us. That's why I said, I don't know what you've invested into the 12 years Matthew Stafford's been here, whether you look at whether you want athletes to raise your kid. Everybody's got their own opinion and whatever it is, because it's come through this town. You are always hard on the facts, how to get the team better, right? It's irrelevant to who
Doesn't
the
matter
person
to me.
the kid cheers for.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. And if you do you. Like, I just want people to be happy. Because, T-Foss, life's easier when people are happy. It's easier to go to the grocery store.
That is true.
You know, it's easier to go about your business. It's easier to drive and if people are happy.
You don't get elbows in the grocery store?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're trying to work your way through with 22 items and the 20-item checkout. But I'm going to be fast about it. And I'm not going to, no Doug Fungus in our YouTube chat thread, I'm not going to write a check for this stuff. But there are people that do that. Now, Doug, I'll ask you this. Do you want me in there with 31 items and a sense of urgency in the 20-item checkout? Or do you want some elderly person with 6 items that's going to write a check? We know the answer to that.
Yeah, no checks. Checks should be outlawed in the grocery store.
Exactly.
Baseline.
All right, well, hey, nice that we can agree on something.
Cody
We
Engel.
agree on a lot of stuff here.
Well, we
now.
do,
Yeah.
but not today.
Cody Engel says, Neal, it's just a T-shirt. And I get that. But for me, and you know what, too? Low-key, Sawyer, you'll appreciate this. I'm keeping some receipts, man. I am, because for the first time since the early 90s, T-Foss, and I think we had this discussion earlier in the season, maybe about 6 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks or 2 months ago, whatever it was. I am on board. For the first time since the 90s, I'm on board with the Lions and the direction they're going, and with Brad Holmes and the value of draft capital, and the Amon-Ra St. Brown thing that I've talked about 100 times on here. The fact that his whole contract is less than Kenny Golladay will make in September next year. That's how you change a franchise. That's how you go win playoff games, because you have a capable receiver making $800,000 a year. That's what the Bengals are doing. That's why the Bengals are all set up right now. I am on board, but T-Foss, I'm keeping some receipts of these people that say, I don't care about a draft pick. I want Stafford to win. I'm keeping receipts, T-Foss.
Okay, and get one on me. I didn't care about the draft pick either, because they're going. If Brad Holmes is a good GM, he will get a quality player.
Then I don't want to hear anyone complain if the pick they take at 32 isn't good, and you want to pull up somebody. Why didn't they take on whoever got taken at 25? I don't want to hear that then.
That person, yes, you should stomp all over.
Sawyer, book that right there.
You're not
I don't want to
gonna
hear
that from me. The reason I wanted to see Stafford succeed in the playoffs is to show people around here in Detroit that what a real franchise does. I was hoping that people around here would hold the Lions more accountable. The Lions are an inept franchise that we just let them do their thing. You know what? If you want to finish 3-13-1, fine. I still love you. If you want to go 60 years of one playoff win, I still love you. If you want to draft the wrong players time after time after time, I still love you. We don't do that with other franchises in this city.
Yeah.
Darren McCarty, if you only went to the Stanley Cup once and got your ass beat by New Jersey, guess what? People would be all over your ass. Steve Yzerman wouldn't be Steve Yzerman. You wouldn't be you. Because we held them accountable. Oh, they got to go back. Red Wings are great.
Terry, do you remember?
Franchise.
Well, here's the whole thing. You remember, and I talk about this because if you remember 90, I came in 93, 94 with Scotty, but that year you win the President's Trophy, you lose in the first round, then you lose. Like the accountability, we keep climbing the mountain, and it get to the point. These guys, there's half the people, a lot of people that were counting us out, didn't think we were tough enough, couldn't get there. We were too European. We had too many Russians. We weren't tough enough. We weren't all this. Like that, we had that negativity bearing down, except that we were, here's the blessing. We had Scotty Bowman as our shield or whatever, and at this time we kept revamping, remolding, and everybody in there was trying to get better. That's the whole motivation. But the accountability, yeah. You remember, Terry, there'd be articles and stuff about we'll never do it. They'll never do it. You know the bashing.
They won a
They're not
President's
tough
Cup.
enough.
And guess what? So what?
Lost to San Jose in the first round.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, you remember the media, the way the media covered it and whatever. It was accountability. It wasn't like the way it was, and it got to the point where it was like, oh, we don't think you're going to do it. You know, we're going to think like that's. I'd say like 3 out of 4 people would have bet against us than bet with us until March 26th. Because that day it changed for everybody. It was like, and all over the world, right? Where I say the proverbial, it's going to be all right, don't know what it means, it's going to be all right. That was the wave. We're waiting for that because at the end of that day, we knew, all of us, fans, people, whatever, that something changed. That's what we're waiting for. And I tell everybody, I had the same feeling when I was standing there when Steve Yzerman was introduced as GM vice president. Few years ago, same feeling in the building, like it was like, oh, okay. That's why I sit here and go, it's not when, it's when.
And one other thing about their team, even when you were winning cups, like you're in the second round of a playoff series, it's like, okay, it's the second period, it's 1-1. What the hell is going on here? And you could hear it from the crowd. They're like, ooh, man. And so even then, when they're about to win a cup, people were holding them accountable. Like, how come the Wings aren't blowing this team out, 3-1 or 4-1 or something like that? You would hear that murmur in Joe Louis Arena, like, what's going on here? We don't do that with the Lions. It's like, this is our boys no matter what.
You know when I knew that you all were going to win a Stanley Cup, and you'll laugh at this, and this
When I
is
scored that goal. It's like the kid said. When McCarty scored that goal, I knew we were going to win. I was like, I felt the same way.
No,
I mean,
when Fedorov won the league MVP, when Steve Yzerman got hurt.
Oh, that was
when I knew.
That was the first year, the President's Trophy, 93,
Yeah.
94 year.